I got my cue. Oh, is this thing hot? Gotta be careful with that hot mic. Most broadcasters have learned our lesson. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. If anybody wants to scoot up or take a seat or head on this direction. I wasn't told to say that, but I'm just going to say it anyways. Thank you, everybody, for coming here today to Allianz Field. We're in the beautiful Stadium Club if you've never been. And we are very lucky and fortunate. First of all, I have Dr. Bill McGuire, who's going to take the stage here. And today is a rare day where he is not the guest of honor. Instead, I just want to give everybody a warm welcome and welcome our new CEO for Minnesota United, Sherry Ballard. I feel like it would be number 10 if it wasn't already taken. She's going to kind of be the maestro of the club, I think. And I'm going to basically pass it off to Dr. Bill McGuire. He's going to take over here. But just what a special day for the club to kind of hand off the battalion, the torch here to Sherry Ballard. I was fortunate enough to have lunch with her yesterday and got to pick her brain and really get to know her as a person before even a coworker and as the club's new CEO. So we are honored and privileged to have her here and take over the reins from Chris Wright when he does step down. And a warm welcome and thank you to everybody for coming here today. Dr. McGuire.
Thank you, Kendra. I will try to be brief because this is not really about me. I do want to start, and we'll have a chance to revisit it later again, but start by acknowledging where we are today, which is in a good place, a very good place, and thank Chris who will be stepping down at the end of this season, and his position filled by Sherry. So we should start by, again, thanking him for the really good position we are in today, and where Sherry gets to begin her role. So, briefly thinking back, 2012, watching the fence come down at the NSC when the Stars were going to the championship or the playoff game, and sort of thinking this is pretty extraordinary. Probably all 300 of the people that were there on that night. The next year, we moved forward with that NASL team. 2 years later, 2015, we're awarded a franchise by Major League Soccer, although not yet moved into where we are now. At that time, the attendance at the games had risen up into the 5,000, 7,000, 8,000, maybe even 10,000. In 2017, we began play at TCF Bank Stadium, officially as an MLS team, and I think for everybody at that time it was quite extraordinary to think back over the 40, back to 76, however many years, all that had happened in that time, and for the team to in fact not only be alive and sustained, but growing dramatically with a huge throng of people that came out that first day in the snow. Just extraordinary, and will be in everybody's memories. In 2019, we opened Allianz Field. As you all well know, and I don't need to rehash, but I will say it again, the absolute preeminent soccer stadium in North America, and the home of the absolute greatest group of fans and the most wonderful fan experience around a sport of any kind that exists in North America. I hear where they might challenge us down in Azteca or a few places south of the border, but pound for pound, seat for seat, there's nothing else like it. The organization, the team, the group of people, the fans, everybody has come together over the years to put us in really a quite remarkable place. If you think back how short the time's been, how great the accomplishments, and where we stand now. Third year in which we're headed for the playoffs, and more after just a few. Just extraordinary. We have to judge ourselves really about how we align ourselves for the future, knowing that anything we have today is potentially fleeting, and we need to keep building and becoming better at every aspect we do. The ownership group came together, talked a lot about what we thought would be needed, and one of the big characteristics for us was to find somebody from this community, somebody who shared a commitment to this community, someone that had the same values that we were trying to represent through soccer, and that this team and all of its members and fans were in fact projecting through this great game. I really can't say much to convince you or try to tell you who this person next to me is. You will see that. I will say that after many, many years as part of a very large and very successful company, having met many, many executives, both through that and through the exchange with a lot of other great companies, both in this city and in this country, I will tell you that there is not one of them, not a single company, that wouldn't be proud to have Sherry Ballard heading it. This is pretty extraordinary for us, and I think you will see that, and I'm going to turn it over to her because she talks better and I'm a little hoarse. But
Lord,
a
Bill.
truly extraordinary day for us, and I look forward to all of you meeting her and talking with her.
Okay, we just violated, set the expectations at a certain level. Hi, everybody. It's maybe just say a couple things on the front end here, and then we'll get to whatever you all might want to ask. I'm just super happy to be here, thrilled, and I'll tell you why in just a second. But I just want to say thanks to Bill, and there's a few of the other owners here who I just appreciate the opportunity a lot. I appreciate the confidence you have and the work and energy you all put into helping me work my way to this, and then deciding this was going to be a good fit for us. So I just have a lot of personal gratitude, so thank you for that. And I looked around as I'm trying to find Chris, who keeps doing this today. Okay, I can see him now. I also just want to say publicly that, that sometimes transitions can, we've all seen it, they can, they sometimes be hard. Chris, as you guys would have expected, has just been a remarkable pro and human being in engaging, answering a billion questions. Doesn't matter what I ask him. He gives me a straight-up view on things, helping me learn very quickly, which I have a lot of learning to do, obviously, in this job. But I would also say more broadly, I do, although our lives are different, I do know a bit of what it feels like to put your whole life into something, whether it's here or whether it's with the Timberwolves, but within this community, for something you care so passionately about, and then decide you're going to be done and you're going to entrust it to the people that are there after you, And on one hand, you hope that you get to walk away feeling like, man, we've done some really important stuff. And then on the other hand, it's now in somebody else's hands. And I'll say to you, we're going to do our best. I'm going to do my best. The team's going to do their best. But you'll get everything I've got in terms of trying to honor what's been built here, and then to just keep taking it to newer and newer and newer levels. But what's been built here is utterly remarkable, and what your impact has been on the community as a result. Not just the sports community, but the broader community, and the way you look at that and what you've done with your career. We should all do so much. So I'll start there and just say thank you to you, Chris, and to thank you to Chris. So of all the questions I've been asked today in all the various formats, and it's kind of been one after the other as these things go, the most common one has been why Minnesota United. So, why after Best Buy, and then deciding you were not going to do that, why this? So I may have to start there, and then whatever you all would like to ask, or we can definitely do that. I think the first thing I would say is that the value system of the club, the values of the club, and the value system of the club were very much a personal and professional fit for me. I love winning. I love competing. So that aspect of the winning aspect of the club and what it takes to do that, and to be in a world where you compete, I love that. It's super attractive to me. I like the teamwork factor around the values. I'm a big fan of team sports, have played them, love them, and I think you only get meaning by doing things with other people. And so the teamwork aspect of it is also really attractive. I think the constant pursuit of excellence, whether it's each of us trying to be a better and better and bigger version of ourselves for our whole life, which I think is kind of the point, that is super attractive to me too. And there's aspects around this commitment and committing yourself to something that I also think, especially committing yourself to something that is larger than you, that drives meaning. And so that value system is attractive to me. The other component of it is too, thinking about respect and diversity and acceptance and equity, and how we go about engaging with each other, and what our belief system is about what people are truly capable of, and kind of what the point of it all is, was really attractive on a personal and professional level. I know for Bill it would have been a deal breaker anyway if it wasn't, but it would have been a deal breaker for me too. So that's kind of the first thing I would say. The second thing I would say is when I left Best Buy, I felt very much like, kind of to whatever degree, an adult in terms of like understanding business, and I spent my whole life there, so it's kind of narrow and deep in that, and felt like I'd at least hold my own in any conversation around it. But where the community was concerned, I felt, and I said this to the Best Buy team when I left, I felt more kind of adolescent Marianne and I have spent time in it, obviously, but I just didn't feel like I was close enough to it to really understand the issues of the community and to try to do whatever I could do to have impact, big or small. And so I knew when I left, it would be something that involved the community, and I've been super fortunate to get on some boards of great community companies, and I'm learning a lot doing that, which makes sense because my background is that. But the aspect of this, the fact that the club knows it has a responsibility to be a community citizen, a really good community citizen, cares deeply about the community, in particular is committed to kids and youth and access, whether it's access to education or whether it's access to soccer and sports and what that will do for them. I love that. The stadium experience here is ridiculous. So, I mean, like ridiculous in a great way. I was just saying this to somebody, after spending your whole life trying to create experiences at scale and like knowing how hard it really is to do that nonstop, day in, day out, what's been created here, speaking of legacy and impact, I mean, you all will never have to worry whether you had an impact in the community or not. What's been created here and what is created in this stadium experience is, I mean, I'm a complete homer on it, but it's magic. And so who wouldn't want to be a part of that? It's wonderful. I love sports. Grew up playing sports, not at any elite level, but I'm a byproduct of team sports. And I think the things you learn in team sports, self-confidence, you learn to understand what your own talents are. I think more importantly, you learn people around you have talents that you don't. You learn how to put those two things together in service of something larger than yourself. You get feedback, you learn peer leadership. I think all of those aspects of team sports and sports in general, have shaped my life a ton. I think probably most people would say that in, whatever we're doing, if we played team sports, we probably have lessons from that. So I love the fact that it's sports. So that's super attractive to me too. And it's an opportunity fundamentally to take something that's working at the core and help it reach its next level of ambition. Retail was a daily knife fight in a phone booth because it was so competitive. So it's that for 26 years, and I loved it. And I also like the opportunity to take something that's fundamentally working with a group of really interesting, smart people who will know things I don't, and figure out how we take the next chapter of the story here and try to have a positive impact in the community while we do it. So that's the long answer to the why. I think they grabbed my short answer when we were talking about this yesterday. If you'd have told the 10-year-old version of me I was going to have a chance to do this for a living, I would have thought that was amazing, and the 55-year-old version of me feels the same way. So that's what I would say.
All right, thanks, Bill, and thanks, Sherry. And for now, we'll open up to questions from the audience. If you have questions, like Gabby or I know.
Hi, Sherry. Welcome to Minnesota United. Andy Greeter, St. Paul Pioneer Press.
Thank you.
You talked about learning your own talents. What would you say those are from your time at Best Buy, and how will you kind of pull from the things that you need to learn here at Minnesota United?
So Kendra mentioned when she introduced us that she talked to me yesterday. Kendra has, unfortunately for her, been on Sherry Ballard duty for like the last 2 days. And she asked me that question earlier today too. And what I would say is, first of all, it feels a little bit, to talk about what your own talents are is a little, it's a little like, really? You'd want probably other people to do that for you. But I think what I would say is, in my time at Best Buy, I did a lot of different things at the company. So I started out in stores. I was in HR, I was in legal, I had the international segment. So it's like one of those stories where you just get a chance to do a lot of different stuff. I obviously am not a subject matter expert in all of those areas, and I wasn't. I'm not a trained lawyer, but I was responsible, at some point for the legal team as an extreme example. And I think what I learned in my time there was more about the leadership side of things, that the job essentially, and this was 100% true, as it got, kind of bigger and bigger in scale, the job was very much a people job, beginning, middle, end, all the time. And it was way more about getting the right people in the right roles, like understanding what we really need in terms of experience and or talent to drive what we're trying to get done. So getting people in the right roles that had what you needed, getting them truly individually connected to the mission so that they could see, and I think this is really critical, they could see the results of what they're doing. That aspect is big. And then orchestrating the environment in a way and the culture, and that can sound like a software, there's a lot that goes with it, but orchestrating things in a way so that you're getting the absolute best that somebody is capable of doing, not because they're complying, but because they really do believe they're in the right role, they love the mission, they're being supported in growing and developing it, and they're giving you everything they got in ways you could never make them do from a compliance perspective. And then they're a great teammate too. Like they really do understand that we all impact each other's performance all the time, whether we want to admit it or not. And they take that seriously and try to help other people learn, grow, collaborate. And I would say I learned it and had it reinforced over and over and over again, that's the job of leadership. And I have never stopped being impressed by people who know things in areas that I don't. I have zero ego about it. I mean, I have an ego, but it's not about that. And in fact, I love it. And so that's what you do in these jobs. You know, you make sure you have the right people, you engage in it, you collaborate on decision making, you learn along the way. It's definitely a team sport, and it's not a hands-off team sport. So I would say maybe that's a little bit of what I learned, and hopefully, you know, we'll find it translates some.
Thanks for the question, Andy. Any other questions?
Thank you for asking, by the way.
Hi, Sir. Nick Williams, Star Tribune. In terms of similarities between retail and pro sports, are there any that you see that are kind of the same that, okay, I could transfer over this to be kind of the same in that way?
Yeah, I don't know if you could hear him very well or not with the mask, but he was just asking me whether I could see any similarities yet in terms of, you know, kind of retail and or Best Buy, retail broadly, and pro sports. Yeah, I mean, I think, and I started to learn this when I was referencing earlier. I've had the chance to be on a few boards in the community since I left Best Buy. They're all in different sectors, you know, so I started to kind of get this reinforced. I mean, like Alina obviously is in healthcare, the university's in education, you know, Christoph and team at Ecolab are, you know, in energy conservation, you know, food safety, water conservation, water safety. And so those are all, they're all new areas in terms of the content of what it is that the companies are trying to do, but they also at the core are, they're the same thing. They're a group of people coming together, trying to do meaningful things for customers. For us, it's fans, but for customers. And so they really are people jobs in that way. It's a little bit what I was just saying when I was answering his question about, you know, when you break it all down, what are you here to do? And so I think those things will be, I think that will, you know, kind of translate quite well because that's what we're dealing with here. But I'll also say that I think any kind of transition, whether it's a business, you know, a career transition like this or personal transitions that we all go through in our lives, they also they require you to learn and grow as a person and as a professional. You meet new people. I'm going to get pushed in new ways. I mean, these guys know. There are things I hope I'm bringing to the team right away, but I got a lot to learn. And you have to do that too. You have to do it as a person and a professional. And so I think that aspect of some of the context that for sure is different, I'm going to have to learn. And I'm looking forward to it. Actually, we've got some people here who have spent their whole lives in soccer and in sports, so they know a ton. That will be great. And so I think it will be a good combination of learning new things and then things that hopefully are quite familiar and match up well with, you know, what I've spent essentially my whole adult life doing. So I think that's what I would say.
Thanks, Nick. Any other questions?
We could check back, though, like in a year or something and see how, like, accurate I was or how wildly off I was. But I think it'll be something like that, I think.
Any other questions for Sherry?
Sure, obviously Minnesota United and soccer in general is different than other pro sports and in the fact of the relationship with its supporters and supporters groups.
Yeah.
How will you try to foster that relationship and listen to what they have to say and feedback?
I just met some of them, which was awesome. And I said and I don't mean this in any disparaging way at all, because I think it's just it's just different and it's a different level. But I don't really have any other examples that are this extreme of people believing and it being true that the fans actually impact the outcome of a pro sports event. I mean, you do sort of in other games, you know, you're involved and you're trying really hard to, but there is zero question when you're in this stadium on game day that the fans are impacting the game. You can see, I mean, the energy between the fans, the players, the fans, and the organic nature of that is real. It's tangible, it's magical. And what these guys are doing with their lives and, you know, how, I mean, it was just fascinating talking to them. I mean, they basically take it upon themselves, the supporter groups do. I mean, they take it upon themselves. And I said, how did you guys get into this? One of the young men said, I'm trying to, like, I went to a game in Europe and when I was studying abroad. And so I really wanted to try to play a part in bringing that kind of energy to my home state. And it's like, okay, well, mission accomplished. So it's like, it's that same thing, you know, it's people who have a passion about something, they have talent around it, they're taking their own initiative, they're in service of something larger than themselves, they also love the community, and they're making a difference. And so, yeah, I mean, I love it. So how would I engage in it? I mean, I enjoy engaging with people a lot. I like teams. I like, in my old language, customers, here, fans. I am a byproduct and believe that, you know, people who are generally speaking, interacting and closest to the customer and the product sometimes have insights that other people don't have. Doesn't mean I think it's always 100% right, but I do think the insights are important, and sometimes it is right. And so I think on the front end here, I will very much enjoy engaging in that, to be honest.
Thanks, Andy. Any other questions for Sherry?
Have you seen Ted Lasso?
I love Ted Lasso. I'm not sure whether, I don't know if, like, I'm going to learn this, I suppose. I don't know if in the soccer world, like, where that's your real job, like, I don't know if when I just said this, these guys groaned at me, like, oh my God, Sherry, don't say that. Or whether they're like, that's okay to like Ted Lasso. But I will say, I love Ted Lasso. And I don't know about you guys, but I feel like that kind of single-handedly dragged some of us through the pandemic just from a like, oh my God, okay. Like optimism and a big picture point of view and characters who are all messy but interesting, and I love it. I don't know if Bill's a fan of Ted Lasso, but I love it. I guessed right, didn't I?
I'm waiting for him to win a couple more games.
That's good. Good job. That was good. That was very, very well played.
Sherry, obviously MLS has a different model than other pro sports, and sponsorships and in-stadium revenues are quite important to the business model.
Yeah.
How would you look at those two things and strengthen them?
Yeah, the short answer would be I don't know yet. I've done what you would expect me to do in terms of learning. There was a lot of what I think we spent the front end of some of our conversations on, just me trying to understand how does the business work, and what's the model underneath of it, and do the physics of it actually work? So I have done, you would expect me to have done that, and I did. But I think in terms of, you know, where do we go from here in those areas, whether it's, you know, ticket sales, you know, in a stadium that is, you know, sold out nonstop, or continuing to grow our sponsorships. Tactics around that, I'm not sure yet. We have a great team here. Bryant is excellent at that, and I'm sure the team will have some ideas around it. But there is no doubt we have an absolutely amazing, I mean, I'm almost reluctant to say product because it's so not, I mean, it is a product, but it's also like this living, breathing human thing that's so amazing. And we need to keep growing it, of course, because we want to build a sustainable club here, and so that will be part of what we figure out for sure. I mean, hopefully, I guess I would say, I mean, Bryant has spent his whole life doing this, but I would hope maybe there's something from, I've been on the other side of the table a lot, you know, so I've been on the business side of, you know, different people in the community wanting to partner or invest, and at least in my experience, that always first has to come from a place of, you know, there are mutual things we're trying to accomplish, you know. So I think it would probably, you know, hopefully having been on the other side, being able to, you know, talk to some of the folks that we might be interacting with, get a better understanding of, like, what are they actually trying to solve, either, you know, in their business, with their team, with their customers, and then what do we have in all of our amazing assets that could help with that, and then, you know, can we put those things together in a way that it helps grow the club, but it also helps them grow their business in a meaningful way. I mean, to me, that's the equation to be figured out. And then economics, go along with that. But that's the first end equation. So, maybe there's something in, what I've done in my life that'll help with that.
Time for 1 or 2 more questions?
You mentioned in your opening remarks about diversity and acceptance. Can you talk a little bit about your approach to diversity and how you're going to manifest that at the team?
Yeah, I mean, I think the first thing I would say is, we talked about this actually in the large group section earlier, in the large team session earlier today. I think it starts first with, what's your assumption about other people? I mean, genuinely. Like, what do you as a human being believe? And do you genuinely believe that we're all, in our various ways, gifted in some way, and utterly messy and, not gifted in other ways? Like, we're all gifted and we're all flawed. I believe that. I believe hopefully I have gifts, but I also do not bat 1,000 as a human being. And so I think, for me, it starts with an assumption set. Like, do you believe that? And then, if you do believe that everybody has something to add, then are you looking for it? Like, do you interact with people with an intention of figuring out where you disagree with them, where they're wrong, where you can pin them? Or do you interact with them looking for something that you might have never thought of, or where they might be right, or what their intention might be? I think those aspects, first and foremost, of how we all think about ourselves and the world around us, I think there's a lot to be done there right now if I could just, be like that direct with it, where I don't think the pandemic helps either. Somebody was saying this earlier, I thought it was so smart. When you spend, 2 years with yourself, the world tends to get really small. And maybe the best version of you might not always be coming out, and it might not be coming out through technology and through a computer screen that I spent a whole bunch of my life putting a lot of those devices into the world, They're amazing things, but sometimes it amplifies the parts of us as humans that are not our best thing. So I think the first part would be kind of starting with that, and how do we see that from a value perspective? How do we see ourselves? How do we see others? Because I think we just talked about this, I think that is also key to driving next level performance. So if you think about what's to be done here at the club, it's to help the club build on success and keep reaching its next levels of ambitions. And to do that, it will take, no doubt, each of us as individuals continuing to be more excellent in what we're doing, to know our talents better, to keep learning, growing, developing. But it's going to also take us being better with each other in ways. And I'm not judging where we are now. We're probably great. But if you're going to get better, that has to get better too. And that has a lot to do with how do we interact with each other, what do we think of each other, and do we think people inherently have value? So I'd say one aspect of it will be that, in terms of our leadership approach, our culture, which I think very much, as I said, aligns with the values here. I don't think it's anything new I bring. Hopefully it's it's an amplification of what I know people here believe, and we'll just get better and better at practicing it, because we're also messy humans. And then the other part of it I would say is, the aspect of it where, all of us can, be a little too confident sometimes in, why we were successful, and can contribute that to all of our great hard work and brilliance, and miss the fact that it doesn't start that way. We don't all have access to everything. Like, everybody doesn't start out on equal footing. And so to better understand that and, do everything you can, I think as a club and as individuals, to try to help create access to more success, to options in life, whether it's educational or, like I said, through sports. I know the club is committed to that. They're doing excellent stuff already. But I would say this is my way of articulating it. I'm not trying to change priorities for anybody, so guys and gals, don't freak out. But I think there's kind of like two sides of it. There's like us as individuals, and what's our work, and what are we doing in our interactions with each other every day? And then there's, more broadly, how do we think about ourselves as a community citizen, and trying to level some of that stuff out for people, and help people understand what their gifts are and their talents are, whether they're sporting related or not, and achieve things that maybe they never thought were possible either.
Thanks. We'll have time for one more question.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm Amy Brunmo, the president of the St. Paul City Council. I'm here with Trista Mattis-Castillo, who is Ramsey County Board of Commissioners, and we are
How
really-
nice is it of you guys to be here? Thank you so
Well,
much.
We're thinking you're kind of a badass. And so
Oh, boy.
thank you. Thank you and welcome to St. Paul and Ramsey County. Just a question. I love the.
You're not going to stop after that badass
No.
part? Okay. That's not how we roll,
I'm going
Sherry.
to double down.
Okay, go ahead.
I love the things that you're saying about the team and about the fans and the community, and I just want to point out, obviously, that there are fans that are outside the walls of the stadium that may never have an opportunity to come and sit in these seats.
Yeah.
There's a community that the stadium sits in the middle of, and I would love to hear your thoughts about how we can connect what's happening here with the community around the stadium, and what are your thoughts on how we build up that community?
First of all, what I like in what just happened, it's actually a live example of what I was saying earlier. Like, that's the only way you learn and grow, is to have people say, yeah, well, here's what I think about that. The direct answer is I don't know yet. And that's the direct answer. I think what you hear from, I know Bill and the team that's already here, and you hear from me is like not only the desire but actions, being a better community citizen. In terms of kind of the same thing you're saying back to me that I said about like business and sponsorship, is what you're kind of saying back to me about the community, that, like looking for opportunities for that to be a win there, a win for us, creates access. So I don't know, I'm not going to say today, here's what I think, and the team's never thought of this, but what I will say is it's a clear priority. It's a clear priority for the club, a clear priority for me. And the team knows this, but the first thing that I'll do here is meet one-on-one with every single person, get a chance to know them a little bit, get a sense of who they are, what they care about, and what they see from their own area and beyond, of things that we're just doing great and we're crushing it, and where there might be some opportunities to expand our impact. And so that's what I would say. I don't know if, Bill, you have anything you want to add to that or not, or whether Chris does, but that would be how I would say on the front end here.
I really should have added that we also think this is a team sport.
Yeah.
So whatever we can do to help you accomplish those goals, we're in.
Thank you so much. And thanks for being here today, too.
We'll be on the phone tomorrow.
Thank you.
All right, and that will conclude the formal portion of today's press conference. But thanks again to Sherry and Bill, and one more time, a round of applause for Sherry.
Thanks, you guys.